I mentioned earlier that one of the best things about my job is that I get to listen to great customer stories. And we have with us here Pryce, who's the CTO of AutoGuru, one of our early users on the Twilio platform, as well as Cosmin, Ciuraru, who's Executive Director of Innovation at OnCall Interpreters and Translators here in Melbourne. So thank you both for coming down. Big fans of Twilio so far. Very pleased to have you here. We're very pleased to be part of Twilio Engage here in Melbourne. So firstly, would you be able to give an introduction to yourself and what your company does and potentially how you've been using Twilio all this time? So Barry, you want to start off? Yeah.
That's better. Okay. So I'm Barry Pryce. I'm the CTO of AutoGuru. AutoGuru is a digital marketplace which allows you to book a car service or repair online. So you may say, well, so what? But what we actually have managed to do is build a data engine which sits below our online marketplace, and we can calculate the exact cost of a service or repair, which is kind of a big deal. So if you've got a Porsche, a Maserati, or a Lamborghini, firstly, congratulations, and secondly, we can't actually service you. But if you have 97% of all the other vehicles in Australia, we can figure out exactly how much it's going to cost. Where Twilio fits into this is we started with Twilio nearly 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago. We've implemented programmable voice, we've implemented SMS, and we're continuing that journey on with a lot of the other Twilio platforms or products. And yeah, hopefully I can share a bit more of that with you today.
Fabulous. Thanks a lot for that, Barry. Cosmin, you want to share what OnCall does and how you've been using Twilio so far?
I'm the AD of innovation at OnCall. So basically, we're a interpreting agency. So our main mission is to provide interpreters. Does everyone hear me? Okay. To provide interpreters to various customers. Obviously, Australia is a diverse country, and there's multiple people that either don't speak English that well, or in cases such as healthcare, they need proper interpretation service. So that's where we step in, and we go into hospitals or courts, and we send our interpreters either as a face-to-face engagement for the interpreters to be there in person or via telephone, and that's where Twilio steps in, or via video. So those are the three methods of delivery for our service. So jumping onto Twilio and how we developed on top of Twilio, basically we developed from scratch a product called Voice Connect, which actually helps us in delivering the phone interpreting service. So basically, you get the client dialing into an IVR system. They go through a bunch of prompts, voice recognition. That ends up resulting in a service request in our booking management system. And from there on, we use Twilio for outbound calls to reach out to our workforce of interpreters. So we dial a whole bunch of interpreters in parallel, offer them the job details, and offer them a chance to accept a job by pressing a digit on their phone. The first one to accept is placed in a conference with Twilio. And from there on, the service can continue, and that's billable time that we obtain again through Twilio and invoice back the client. So that's the interaction we have. Been working with Twilio for about 2 years now. So,
fabulous. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that, Cosmin. Prior to Twilio, what was the kind of customer engagement challenge that you faced?
So, sorry, I'm just... so basically, before using Twilio, we were discussing with multiple providers, classical providers for different IVR systems. And we actually got to a stage that was prior to my arrival at the company. I got to a stage in which a product was delivered. The product was doing more or less what it was supposed to do. It took a few months to implement and a few thousands of dollars to deliver. Something that actually fell short of what needed to be done, and something that was sort of hardwired in what it was, and changing that and bringing it to a more dynamic, agile platform meant another few months and a considerable investment to progress it further. So that's where we stopped that endeavor, and we basically wanted to build our own product from scratch. We went back, researched some options on the market, came across Twilio, and what we loved at the beginning was the fact that you can iterate, you can experiment, you can see what's working and what's not working, and you don't need to bring in a bunch of people and big teams to actually do that. You can be hands-on, you can do it in a matter of hours and trial the idea and then see what can be achieved. And there's flexibility and there's control. So that's what brought us to Twilio and kept us on Twilio.
Oh, fabulous. Thanks, Cosmin.
Yeah.
And Barry, prior to the Twilio development, what happened to you and the business challenges?
Yeah, I think customer engagement, so car servicing isn't simple at all. There's over 900,000 variants that are then used to calculate exactly what has to happen to a vehicle. There's many other parameters and factors. Has it been done in the last 6 months? Does it need to be done? Is it a visual inspection? So what we're dealing with is data that's extremely complex. And what we've tried to do in that online space is make that really simple. You spit out a price, this is how much I'm going to pay. I know exactly what's going to happen. And we're really trying to solve those customer challenges of giving the customer certainty. Right now, you hand over your credit card sheepishly to the mechanic and then hope the damage isn't too bad. So what we're trying to do is solve that. In saying that, though, you try to do everything in a digital space, but there's always questions that you're not going to answer. There's always people actually want to talk to another human being when you're talking about something that's relatively complex. And that was really our engagement challenge, was that unfortunately digital wasn't quite enough. We had to provide multi-engagement channels that would allow our customers to talk with us so that we could get a resolution and do the best thing for them. The second customer engagement challenge is that by being actually a marketplace, we've got two sets of customers. We've got the end public who go online and they want to get a service, they want to do it all, transact seamlessly and make everything smooth. But then we've actually got another set of customers who are the ones that pay AutoGuru's bills, which are the 1,600 mechanics we've got in Australia. And these mechanics are not tech savvy. They might actually be under the bonnet of a car when another booking comes through. So we couldn't expect that they would instantly be available. So we had to look at communication as a mechanism to connect with them, but do it in a way that it was convenient for them. And they're pretty significant challenges to overcome.
All right, brilliant. So prior to utilizing Twilio, both of you were utilizing legacy infrastructure and software solutions. How much time, whether it's developer man hours or whether it's monetary savings that you've actually saved by moving onto the Twilio platform with your builds? Cosmin, would you like to share some of your experiences there?
We actually did not measure that. We just wanted to build the product and get it off the ground and start using it because there was high demand in that service and high savings and improvement of service if we had that product. So basically, we just looked at what we've thrown away without actually using, and we moved in developing the minimum viable product in a couple of months and iterated since then based on customer feedback, our own, sessions and design sessions as well. So it's still ongoing. We never, put the figures together, but it's been fast and it's been meaningful, so that's what we're after, I guess.
And you're in other markets as well, not Australia alone.
Yeah, so basically the product was launched initially in the UK, in London, and it's been operating because that's a smaller market for us at this point in time, and it was a pilot there, kept there for a few months, then we brought it over to Australia, and it's still in the process of full rollout here now.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So that global market expansion was also important.
Basically, at the moment, we're running sessions, interpreting sessions for clients in the UK with interpreters in Australia, mainly the Perth ones, which are sort of in their time zone. So it's continent to continent, and we haven't experienced issues in that regard, and it works vice versa. So that allows us to have a global workforce with seamless integration and one platform that does it all for us. We're happy with that.
Great. And Barry, did you manage to calculate from the last 3 years any kind of metrics that you managed to save so far? Or even NPS scores for you, from your customers?
Yeah, so in terms of the time, it took us about 4 to 6 weeks with 2 developers, 1 business analyst to build pretty much a fully fledged call center system, forwarding, hold, inbound routing, depending on which number. And then obviously that was really tightly integrated into our booking platforms and systems. in terms of the financial savings, we were spending a significant amount of time each week dealing with, I shouldn't really swear on a forum, so I won't start. We were dealing with a lot of technical issues with the existing platform, which would suck up our development team's time, and then we were also at the mercy of a third party. So we didn't, as a technology business, we didn't have direct control of when an issue occurred. It's pretty much raise a ticket, pray that it gets resolved at some point. So from that side of things, that could have been 8 to 10 hours a week, and if you push that across a year, that might be maybe half an FTE in cost savings just from actually having a robust solution in place. The other key factor is from going from the old system we had in place to Twilio. I reduced our call costs by over 50%, which made me really popular with the CFO of the company.
Fabulous, thank you. So Twilio's entire success so far in the past 10 years has been through our developer platform. We've got 1.6 million developers utilizing our platform today globally. Now, there's always this question about, now Twilio is also building up our new declarative APIs and the engagement cloud. For you as a company and as a business here in Australia, what role does your development team play in your customer engagement strategy and offering and how you're building communication experiences? Cosmin, you want to share?
I would say we're not the driver, we're an enabler of the business basically. But what we step in is, depending on what's new on the market or in the platform we're using and what we can achieve reasonably fast and not that expensive, we can, pitch ideas to the business and to the decision makers at the business level and say, we can do this, which you couldn't do this before, and it's faster now, and it's easy to develop, and it doesn't cost that much, and it gives you this benefit. So that's where digital and innovation and technology steps in the business to help making things possible, whereas before they weren't. So that's the role of.
Thanks, Cosmin. And Barry, do you think your developers play a huge role in building up the strategy with customer engagement?
Yeah, I think we do, and I think it's probably the exception rather than the rule. By us being a small startup company, we've got less than 30 staff, which means our developers and our architects and our analysts and our marketers and our salespeople, we're all in the same space. And I can see a lot of larger organizations trying to emulate that through growth hacking teams and really trying to create that dynamic environment where people are sharing ideas. Where Twilio fits in for it from us is that our development team are aware of the APIs, they're aware of what the product can do, and our team actually really come forward with the suggestions when we're talking about how can we improve this business process, how can we make sure our customers know exactly what the next best step is or what the next action is, and we actually push forward a lot of these ideas and say, hey, did you know we can use Twilio to provide an automated SMS as a reminder at this point, and I've got a lot of examples that I'm happy to share with anyone that wants to have a chat later on of exactly how we're doing it, but for us, it's really been, it's provided as a platform that I don't actually worry about, I've got this off-the-shelf block of software that can't do this, can't do that. Like, I pretty much know that it's going to give us what we need when it comes to communicating omni-channel.
Now, in the last few years that you've been utilizing Twilio, from your moment of discovery of Twilio to utilizing Twilio, how's your experience been? What were some of the key moments or points has the platform or the team and the services that we've been provided? How's your experience been so far, Cosmin?
So I guess it's quite easy and fast to develop, and you get the product out there and you get a whole heap of users using it. And what I would recommend before launching into production is to actually have some sort of dashboards, operational dashboards to see what's happening. It's out of your control. It's our systems talking with your system. Having a telco here and there, it's a complex interaction, and you might want to know actually what's happening, the workflows that are happening, the calls, the drop rate, if any, if it requires a CSO, a customer service officer, to be brought in the call, what's the rate for that, how many services get delivered. So it's all those operational KPIs and events that you do want to track before you jump into it, because otherwise customer support will just come after you, because it's an automated system in the end, and it's it's always meeting those expectations of the end users with your delivery of service and having tools to gauge what's happening. So that's my recommendation from experience. Yeah.
Did you, the analytics that you've taken from the Twilio dashboard that you found mighty useful?
So it's a mix. We're storing some metrics in our own systems, and we are storing some metrics and interacting with your APIs, and we build custom dashboards. There's a plethora of open tools that you can use to aggregate that data, put a time series against it, plot it on a graph, define alerts. So it's just within easy reach to pull those components together. Data is there to be taken, and that's, I guess, what's powerful is that you have access to data. It's easy to get that data and work with it in a meaningful way for your business.
And you are utilizing some of the voice insights dashboards as well?
Not yet, because when we looked at it, it was mainly if the client was or the user was on a VoIP, on a soft phone. All our users or end users are actually on landlines, mobile lines, and the agents have not yet transitioned to soft phones. It's in the plan to transition to that, so it doesn't meet our requirements at this point in time. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Great. And Barry, what's your experience been?
So I can probably start off with the call center themselves. I find if there's no noise at all from the call center, one, they should be making calls, so there probably is a problem. But no, from technical issue perspective, no noise is a good thing. It means that we've managed to implement the Twilio platform in the call center in such a way that the ground force staff are actually happy with it. And it's sometimes the little things. It's like the extra 3 seconds that they have to go across here, push this button, do this. They actually have to do it 400 times a day, so that does become an issue in terms of productivity and efficiency. So we found with the Twilio platform, we've really tightly integrated it into our booking system, into our admin system, into our CRM, into our reporting and analytics in such a way that from the UI perspective, there's no task switching, there's no people moving around. From the customer experience perspective, when someone calls us, we know everything about you. We know what car you drive, and we know that you've been on the website in the last 10 minutes. But more importantly, our agents know that as well. And then if you're a workshop, we can bring up exactly which job you're talking about and get to a resolution really quickly. And right now, that's good, but in the future, as we scale up, that's going to become more and more important. And that's where we got that tight integration and working well.
We've got a mixed audience today. I think I spoke to a couple of people here. Some were startups, some were from major enterprises. What kind of best practice would you recommend for anyone that's undecided whether they should augment their communications experience or should they rip and replace? You've built it from scratch. You've practically moved one provider out. What are your thoughts in terms of best practices that you recommend to others?
It depends on the type of business, and if a product off the shelf works for you and you're not going to go outside of those boundaries or want customization done, or you don't see having other use cases outside of that, and you don't have a dedicated development team, you might go with a off-the-shelf product. But if you're dynamic and you're in a marketplace that has high competition and service delivery changes in your competition, and you want to keep up or even be ahead of them, then you need to have all the, the tools that allow you to actually keep up with the progress in other areas. And you want flexibility to start with, and even if building towards that flexibility might be, for some cases, an upfront investment or a commitment long term, I think there's a big return of investment in having multiple ways to choose from, and assessing those ways before and after, and as you are in the middle of implementing something, pivoting if that's the case. So regardless if you're an enterprise or a startup, or if you're doing entrepreneur, then you have to have all the options on the table. Yeah,
Barry, do you have any recommendations for our audience? Best practices and deployment, how you've built it in a matter of weeks, some of your learnings?
Yeah, sure. So we had a legacy system in place previous to that, which unfortunately we were at the mercy of that provider. It was hosted on servers. I don't actually know where the servers were, to be honest. And we had to give you an example. We had a really simple request. We want to record all of the phone calls that are coming in through the system. So I got a bill for $10,000 and said, "Oh, we probably get that in about 3 months' time." Regardless of if you're a startup or any company, that's too long. It's too much money. And to me, it was a kind of defining moment of I don't have the flexibility. I want to tightly integrate this into our customers' engagement and into their experience. And I believe the closer you put your communication elements to your applications or to your mobile apps, the better that experience is for the end consumer. And we've seen that through our NPS scores, which are sitting up about 56 right now.
Wow,
which is
brilliant.
I don't know if that's good because I'm not a marketer, but Trustpilot
That's
says
good.
it's easy to use. Oh, I wish I'd known about this earlier. And it was a great experience. And I think a lot of that great experience comes from the engagement our consumers have on the telephone with our agents and with our network of mechanics. So if you have a big legacy system in there, and I've been there before, I've seen the kind of monolith or the megalithic large call center apps that are out there. My recommendation would be maybe start out with a few use cases, prototype something else, or prototype it on the Twilio platform and see how it goes for you, and then actually measure how that's better than what you've actually got already. And I think, the outcome for us was no looking back. It fits perfectly within our cloud strategy to have an API platform-based approach to communications.
Thank you. Now, both of you started off using Twilio with the programmable voice component. So one of the things that I often hear customers tell me is that, Andrew, you guys don't really do anything besides SMS, do you? And that's the funny bit, because you've been using our voice APIs for the last couple of years. Now, with omni-channel, we're talking about chat, we're talking about OTT, we're talking about truly different mediums and different channels. What are the next steps for you as a business? Do you have any plans to extend your communications use case with Twilio to include other channels as well, and why?
We're moving away from, our engagement model was a lot based on email, and that doesn't work that well. It's just hard to reach to our workforce, communicate with them, keep them engaged. Looking at the click rate, it doesn't look that great. So what we're exploring now is also adding, besides email, for that type of interaction, text messages, and potentially some form of voice, but more of a dial-in thing than outbound call. Sort of, call a voice message, and what messages do we have for you, go through them in your own time, right? So that's one engagement model. And the other one, because you're talking about omnichannel, we're currently in the process of replacing our contact center, which is a bit outdated at this point in time and doesn't offer the things we are after. We've been through a number of vendors, quite premium vendors, quite a lot of functionality, impressed with what it is, impressed with the CTI component of it. But also it feels like it's not molded around what we actually need. So we build, besides the Twilio-based product, we also build our own CRM, our own booking system, similar to yourself. So we would like our agents to be on one platform, in one browser, in one window, doing as much as possible, because anything that they need to do extra, it's loss of productivity, it's them complaining, it's not great customer service in the end. So we're also looking at potentially building a contact center over Twilio at this point in time and having that omnichannel presence in there. It's completely different from where we started. We wanted something that can be delivered fast with plenty of dashboards, metrics, functionality, wallboards, all the sort of things you want in a contact center. And we wanted something to be, fully furbished rather than us going through iterations. But it might end to us having to build a contact center if we don't find the exact fit for what we are trying to achieve. So that's the journey.
That's the next stop for you. Yeah. All right, fabulous. Well, I know that our team has got some work to do there for you. Barry, what about yourself? So what's next for AutoGuru?
So I guess the first point I want to make is, and this is to extend from Cosmin's point earlier, email doesn't work. The click-through, firstly, the open rates are shocking. Secondly, Gmail and all the other mail providers are getting really smart at taking your messages and pushing them into promotions, spam, different folders, and sometimes it's even when it is actually a genuine message that's transactional. So we found that even though we send a lot of emails, we're not getting the best cut through with it. SMS, on the other hand, even though SMS has been around a long time, it's actually a pretty effective marketing channel as well. If you jump on our website and you're not followed up by our contact center who'll say, hey, we've noticed you're looking for a service for your Toyota Camry, we'll also follow up with an SMS saying, hey, thanks for using AutoGuru. To resume your quote, click here. And that will jump you straight back into the point where you left off in the quoting process. So SMS for me is going to be really useful in the future. And we've
just turned 25 as well.
Yeah, so it's quite old school, but it does actually work. Like I don't know how many people in the audience can get an SMS. Your phone tells you there's one message there, and then you have to not click it. I would challenge you to not click it. Everyone opens SMS.
Yeah.
The other key point is we with Twilio we also allow people to respond via SMS. So really we're just giving them another channel which flows into our admin site, and you might respond back saying, hey, sorry, but I've got caught up. I can't make the booking that day. Can you change it? So multi-channel, SMS, email, and voice all flow back into our system and allow us to adapt to the customer. Where we're going in the future is Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, all these other messenger platforms that I'm continually harassed on by my wife and friends and family. We really see that as a really good channel that we can engage with people as well. But we want to once more do it from an API and from a platform perspective, which means it's really about the consumer choosing the channel they want to communicate with us through, and then us providing that functionality to them.
Yeah, Twilio's Notify and channels capabilities allows you to have that omni-channel experience overall. Well, so coming back to just Australia. So we are here at Twilio Engage because we are starting on a city-by-city tour. We realized that every year we host several thousand developers and digital innovators in San Francisco at our Twilio Signal event. However, not many of our Australian customers are able to fly over for the experience, so we thought to bring some Twilio love right here to Melbourne and hopefully many other cities in this part of the world. Do you think Australia is ready for a cloud communications platform play? What is your thoughts, generally, broadly? I know when we started engaging with you a couple of years back, maybe people are a bit hesitant, still relying on legacy infrastructure and software. Where do you think the market has come so far, and why do you think it's ready? Now is the right time. Barry, you want to give your view?
Yeah, I can take this one. So when I actually chose Twilio 2.5, nearly 3 years ago, I had a cloud strategy in place, and the cloud strategy was I don't want a single server in the office because I don't want to worry about infrastructure. I don't want to worry about hardware. I really didn't want to sign up to a long-term license with a third party or a provider that locked me in. I wanted the flexibility to choose, and I wanted the flexibility to only pay for what we were using. And then the last component was every piece of software that we're building has to be extensible, has to be redundant, it has to be scalable, and I never wanted to see it go down. And I had that same requirement for a communications platform. And when I looked at Twilio actually ticked all those boxes with elastic SIP trunking and redundancy through multiple layers. I knew that it wasn't going anywhere. There wasn't going to be issues. So we did get the reliability that we needed from it. I think in Australia, whether you're an established business or a startup, I think you'll all agree we're all moving to AWS and Azure and Google Cloud. We personally as a business are moving into serverless and into Docker containers and things like that. And that really lends itself to say, look, in reality it's API first, it's platform first, and that's how we're going to deliver solutions. And for me, Twilio does that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Barry. And Cosmin, what are your views on the market?
I must admit, when I came across Twilio, I was a bit reluctant because it was something new. There weren't that many players back then on the market. There was a handful, if anything, and at different stages. So it was a tough decision, and you're taking on some risks when you're moving from the traditional, established, sort of risk-mitigated way in which people have expectations that you're going to use that, and that has been proven on the market, and you're moving to something new that it's new. It has risks. You don't know where it's going to be in 5 years from now, if it's sustainable business or anything like that. So there's a risk factor in there for sure. But there's also an opportunity factor in which there are the people in your position making the other choice, and they're not stuck, but they're going to go with that line, and they're going to have that rhythm of new releases and new features, and they will depend on a partner that's not innovative, that's not that disruptive, that's not that fast-paced as others on the market. So it depends on who you want to establish a partnership with. And looking back at the decision, I feel it was a good decision, and it's proven in time through the flexibility, the options, the fast pace we can deliver, that it was definitely a good decision for us to move on to such a communication as a platform.
Thank you. I mentioned earlier that our customers' success is what's going to fuel the future of communication. And your success, your continuous feedback, I know for the last couple of years you've been giving us a lot of feedback, features, functionalities, and so forth. And that's why we push code out so quickly in order to get you those features. So I'd like to say thank you very much for your time and being here today. Really appreciate it. And I hope all of you in the audience have enjoyed our customer story session. And right after this, you can feel free to mingle with Barry and Cosmin, and we'll be more than happy to share the stories with you. Thank you all. Thanks, Barry.